What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Spiral Up Diaries, where we talk about the week that was and all the little things that we do that promotes positive mental health and that we kind of do in our own lives to make ourselves the very best versions of ourselves. We're back from Bali. We had a beautiful week, 8 days over there. We framed it as a bit of a Bali training camp, but what it really was just a week to get away, a week to detach from our normal routine and just go over and surf. And while we did train, we trained really, really well and really hard. But yeah, it was kind of just a way for me and my partner to get over there, detach from our day to day and just enjoy it, get some really good waves. Me and my partner have this fun competition where we're trying to see who can get to the nose first on a longboard, so hang 10. So be able to walk up, hang 10, and then be able to ride out of it and walk out of it. And the loser has to buy the winner a brand new surfboard of whatever choice they want, whether it's a McTavish, a Thomas, a full custom job. So she was telling me, she's like, I might even just stay here for the next month. But she had to come home for all the reasons, all of our responsibilities that we've got here in our day-to-day. But anyway, fun competition that's up on our socials if you're keen to see a little bit more about that. But yeah, the week that was, we're right into Movember. We're over a week into it. I did my shave down a little bit later than what I would have liked to, but we're into it. For those who don't know, Movember is a mental health prostate cancer and testicular cancer organization. They're doing incredible things. They're probably the largest men's focused charity in the world. They operate in Australia, New Zealand, the US, the UK, and amongst a bunch of other countries, but that's where their main focuses are. And they've got the Movember Institute, which is talking about doing a deep dive into the research side of it, and they've got these really incredible programs like Ahead of the Game, and they're in rural communities and they're actually walking the walk. I've been a Movember ambassador for the last 8 years, raised almost $20,000 for Movember, which I'm really proud of, and it kind of ties into our big marathon project that we got next year, where we're going to run every major marathon in the world. So Tokyo, London, Boston, Chicago, Berlin, Sydney, New York, and we're going to aim to raise $100,000 for Movember. I think this is probably the biggest challenge that I've ever done to date, logistically, physically, from a fundraising point of view. So if you guys would like to donate, you can head to the link in our bio at Keegan & Company or Keegan Hipgrave, either one of the two. I'll put a link in our show notes as well. And also, if you're a runner, if you're a really keen runner, we've got 2 tickets to Sydney Marathon this year. We would love to, you'll have the 2 tickets, so a ticket for you and a friend. So we're going to draw the winner on the 31st or 30th of January. All you have to do is essentially just follow us on socials and then donate to Movember. Not only are you doing a really beautiful thing when you donate to Movember, because you're actually creating genuine change by doing that, but you also get the opportunity to come run with us. There'll be a few other benefits to that, which we can't quite announce yet because we're working with our partners to get that across the line. So hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have some really fun news. So with addition to the tickets, there'll be some other fun stuff as well. We're into it. Crazy to think that we are 4 weeks away from Busselton Ironman, my first ever half Ironman. Feels like, how am I feeling? A bit nervous, to be honest. Bittersweet. For those who have been following along, I've had a bit of a knee issue for the last little while. And yesterday I completed almost a 90K ride into a 15.5 kilometer run, which gave me just a heap of confidence. I had a bit nervous because I hadn't spent that much time on the bike and I hadn't done that much running off the bike either, just due to this ITB band issue. But I've been really focusing on my rehab and my recovery, and I did it yesterday. I felt really good coming off the bike. I did 10 kilometers with a friend, Mitchy Rowe, who was doing this 60 kilometers in 24 hours for Movember. So I joined in with him for 10Ks and then went off and did another 5.5. And just felt really good and took so much confidence out of it. But I know we talk about our rosebud thorn, but the thorn of the week, rolling my ankle 500 meters in the end of the 15 kilometers. It was supposed to be 16 kilometers, but at 15 and a half, I rolled it. You probably can't see the bottom of my ankle right now, but I've got it all laced up. Really solid sprain. I sprained my ankle a bunch of times. So it kind of just blew up. It's super fat at the moment. So the next 48 hours are elevation, ice, and compression. I'll get in and see a physio later today on Monday afternoon. I guess this episode will go live on Monday. So I'll go see a physio. I was going to do a sprint this weekend leading up to the Ironman, a triathlon sprint, just to get used to it and get used to the transition, but I'm not sure I'll be able to do that. So that is definitely my thorn of the week, just this little roll into it. But I mean, like, fuck, that's life, right? These things happen. You can't beat yourself up about it. We're all going to have these types of setbacks in our lives, in our training. And I think the best way to do it is just to be able to positively reframe from it, and like, what's actually the benefit of this? Because there's always a benefit when, you know, shit things happen. And I think for me, it's just being able to lean into the swimming and cycling. I can still cycle. I got on the Swift this morning, my stationary bike here at home. I did half an hour on that, which was fine. And then I can really just zoom in on my swimming for the next week, 2 weeks, and then hopefully try and get a couple Ks in before getting into Busselton and our Ironman. But our Road to Ironman YouTube series is currently live. Last week, we published a YouTube video on us receiving our TT bike, our first ever Factor TT bike. It's a Factor TT Slick. We're on loan for the next 12 months with Factor. So we get to use this like $15,000, $20,000 bike, which is just insane. I constantly pinch myself to think, how are we able to do this? This is really special, and I'm grateful that we have this opportunity to be able to use such an incredible, cool bike. So the whole YouTube is just like us. The bike got dropped off. We picked it up. I went for like a little zoom around on it, and then we went in and got a bike fit, and he sort of broke down how it needs to be compared to my body shape and my body type. I think it's all about just getting used to being in that position and spending time in that position. So we got a TT bike that's live, and then Bali training camp video goes live tomorrow afternoon on Tuesday. So Tuesday will always be our Road to Ironman series in the lead up. I am really keen to do one on ocean swimming versus pool swimming. That will be cool. So if you guys are keen to follow along, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss out. Guys, this week's podcast, the episode that went live on Sunday afternoon was Dom D. Tomaso. Absolute legend. He is a parkour athlete. He's a Red Bull athlete. He was one of the most viewed Instagram reels at one point. Him kind of overshooting this big jump, and it kind of looks like he smacked his face over this huge ledge. It was a really, really gnarly video. His Instagram is Dom Tomato, so you can go check him out. But he's like 3.5 million followers on socials. He was the biggest guest that we've had with the highest, I guess, like social following. Not that that matters or anything like that, but I guess it just shows how many people are invested into his journey. He was in socials and YouTube from like 2013. So he's one of the OGs, and he's been treating it like a job since then. But just all of his thought processes on overcoming fear, obviously, like expanding our thoughts and our horizons on, I guess, certain tasks and themes that we actually really want to be good at. And he used this analogy on like, picture like all your skills and all your confidence is like a tent, like you've pitched a tent, and the way to build confidence and the way to build, I guess, like capacity to do things is just 1 millimeter, like moving your tent peg out 1 millimeter at a time. And over time, over, you know, a year, 5 years, 10 years, you've got this incredible tent full of capabilities and confidence and things that you can do. And so that's why when people look at him now, thinking like, how do you even do this? Like, this stuff's so wild. You know, he's got years and years and years under his belt of doing these things, and he will never do something that he's not completely confident in his ability, which I thought was really cool. So that was one aspect of it. And the other aspect that really got me was the fact that, like, he got bullied a lot as a kid. He did a lot of ballet and a lot of dance, a lot of like ice. I think it was ice skating. I'm having a blank. Anyway, he got bullied a lot in school, and then once he got into parkour, he sort of leaned into who he actually truly was as a person, and not putting up a front for anyone else, but just being the person that he he is, authentically and genuinely. And what he found was that the whole world opened up to him and people really loved him for who he genuinely was. And I really subscribed to that. And we talked that out really in depth on the podcast. So check that one out. That one's a really cool one. And then next week we've got Annabelle Ronfelt. Obviously like incredible fitness creator, does like high roxes and marathons and half marathons, and is just really open about a fitness journey, fueling for performance over fueling for aesthetics, especially from a female point of view. So for all the girlies, that's a really beautiful one. Even for us guys, I think it's a cool shout, and just cool to like shoot the shit with her. We did a triathlon, a mini tri with Annabelle, which is now live on YouTube, which you can check out. But we did the try and then we rolled into the podcast. And so that podcast will be going live next week. Guys, to finish up, Rosebud Thorn. You know my thorn, my ankle is really annoying me at the moment, but that's life. The rose would have to be the Bali trip. You know, being able to surf, it kind of sparks my love for surfing. I love surfing, but being able to do it with someone you love and, just be out in a different country and see different breaks and surf different waves and really beautiful waves and being able to train and the flexibility to be able to work there was really cool. So Bali trip was definitely a rose. And then my bud was, my partner and I listened to this podcast. Well, she listened to the whole thing. I listened to parts of it, but there was one part of it where, when we want to, it's kind of, when we want to be something, or when you want to be something, or you see something that you might be a little bit jealous of, a little bit envious of. We listened to a podcast, sorry, I'm going all over the shop. We listened to a podcast with M on the brain. I think her name's Emily McDonald, I think. I'll put it in the show notes below as well. But it was this really cool podcast where she was talking about things that we want and things that we envy, retraining your brain and saying, instead of being envious of that, reframing that to be like, well, that's just for me. If you want to be a podcaster, reframe yourself to say, I am a podcaster. And what would a podcaster do? Like, what would a schedule look like? How would they articulate themselves? How would they be? How would they show up? M on the brain. I'll put the podcast in the show notes. It was a really, really interesting. I've started following this girl a little bit now, and I really like what she's putting out. She's a neuroscientist and breaks down some really cool ideas and themes and thoughts. She's obviously a thought leader in that space. But my bud is, okay, well, if we want to be the best podcast in Australia with global presence, what does that look like? What does a schedule look like? And I think you can take that into your own world and I want to be a part-time athlete. I want to be the best husband. I want to be the best father. I want to be really good at triathlons. So I want to be a runner. Whatever your thing is, almost re-engineer it and think, well, what does that look like? So for me, I'm trying to think about my mornings. Sleep is super important. So I was journaling this morning and I was like, well, why do I constantly feel the need that I need to get up at 4:30 in the morning? I know I want to do it to get more in the day, but I understand that sleep is super important. And this morning, it was I had my ankle, so I couldn't get up and do my run or do a cycle. So what I did was I slept until about 6:30, which was a bit unheard of. And then I woke up, I journaled straight away, I meditated, I went and sat on my stationary bike, I went and sat on my Swift for 20 minutes, and then I got up and I did 30 minutes of uninterrupted reading and learning. I think that if you want to be one of the best podcasters in the world, then you have to have the knowledge. So obviously doing uni, studying psychology is a big part of the avenue that I want to go down, but then also really learning that and understanding these thoughts and these theories. And so allocating that 30 minutes, an hour to outside of study learnings, whether that be around whatever the themes are for that week. This week was around personality and individual differences through some studies that I've been looking at uni. But I understand that I need to know that stuff and I need to have that dial in, and then talking about it through lived experience and everything and the evidence and the literature, I think is going to be really beneficial for us going forward. So yeah, I'm kind of just thinking how do I be the best podcaster in the world? How do I be able to articulate ourselves? And we want to get better every single day. So we're kind of re-engineering all of that. Anyway, obviously talking a lot at the moment. That's my bud. That's the week. That is the week that was. We're going to publish a Psychology of series. We're going to do it next year, but I want to just test an episode before the end of the year goes out. It's going to be called The Psychology of Goal Setting. I found my goals in the closet, written on a big whiteboard a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago. I actually did an Instagram video on it, breaking them down, because we actually hit a lot of them. We didn't hit some, but we hit a lot of them. It was really interesting. So that's recorded. That's going to go out live in the next week or two. So keep an eye out. And again, guys, let us know your feedback, any thoughts, and genuinely let us know what you're thinking. If you want to hear more about certain things, this is obviously the week that was. We've got our guest episode. We've got our moments episodes. We'll soon have our Psychology of series, which I think will be, I genuinely think that could be probably one of the biggest parts of the podcast going forward. This stuff is just to hear a little bit of the behind the scenes of what we get up to week, which you might like. So yeah, let us know. Hit that little subscribe button if you haven't already. Helps us. That's probably the biggest thing that you guys can do to help us, is subscribing and engaging with us, and let us know what you're thinking. Anyway, lots of love, crew. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. Happy Monday, and let's just get after it. You.